The EU-China third pillar on high-level people-to-people dialogue is relatively new. It's less than 10 years old. And I think here again, we should set up a kind of Erasmus program between China and Europe. Get Chinese students to come to Europe the same way as getting European students to go to China. I think there is already significant exchanges between universities. Universities are collaborating a lot. I can see, I'm actually organizing an event next year on arts management, and it involves a French business school together with the Chinese Academy of Arts, and I know this happens throughout the world, and I think it's important to encourage those linkage and traineeship exchanges, make it easier to travel, make it easier to get visas, for students. Obviously, Europe at the moment is a bit of a kind of nationalistic mood because of the economic crisis and maybe a crisis of confidence. But I think if we want to develop exchanges, indeed the students is the first place to start. I'd like to say also that there is a huge demand from Chinese cities to develop a creative economy, and the Chinese cities are looking at Europe as a good places where actually creativity and innovation is developing because of the education system, art education, because of our cultural institutions, our museums, our theaters, our nightlife, our bar culture, or music culture, and I think there are opportunities of collaboration also between cities, also as a way of making your city more attractive, of attracting talents, and making cities more lively, as a place not only to work, but also to enjoy yourself, to learn, to be educated, to learn about culture, art, to get also places. City should also be a place where you reflect on the meanings of life, on why you work, why you have a family, to achieve what. And it's a good period for China, because China has developed very rapidly over the last 30 years on the motto, get wealthier. And now the Chinese have got wealthier, and now it's a question, okay, what do we want with this wealth? What is the next step? You need time. I think what you need is support, and support can be in different ways. Financial support, encouraging people to go out and paying, attending fairs and so on. But this will not be sufficient. There need to be support also locally for people to be told how business is done, respectively in China or in Europe, and they should be told where to go, where are the places where you can get a cheap rent, where you can find good translation, where you can protect your IP rights, where what are the social habits that you have to respect in order to be understood or to be accepted in Chinese society, and in the same way when you arrive in Europe. So I think all this kind of training on how to apprehend this new market is important. And it could take place actually in those numerous incubation centers, creative hubs, living labs. First, because already those communities are very international, so it's a good way of being introduced to China, but also being connected with entrepreneurs from other countries. But also I think there should be an effort on the Chinese side to not only manage those incubation centers as a real estate development, but also as really places where you help grow the business. So it's truly incubation, and therefore you provide services to the companies. And you are talking about Chengdu. Chengdu could maybe be more competitive than Shanghai, Guangzhou, or Shenzhen, or Beijing, if it actually set up an ecosystem that really provides services to newcomers and helping them to understand the Chinese market, legally, from a marketing point of view, promotional point of view, relation to translation, you know, finding an apartment. All those little things could make a huge difference. You know, in the past, China has always been kind of a, I think it's an initiative coming from China. China saying, you know, in the past would be China, you know, come to us, you know, invest in our place, bring your technology, bring your skills, your competence. And really it's China that is going outside, you know, and say, okay, we want to promote the exchange, you know, the win-win situation. And in order to make the win-win, we are going to make certain investment in transportation, in investing in some ports, in some, and we want concretely to make the connections. So this is from an international relations point of view, it's a big step, and it's for Europe to take up this opportunity to make this happen beyond the political projections or the political willingness, and therefore the summit at the beginning of June is crucial as a way of you know, of giving a push, highlighting the opportunities. But the opportunity will be seized by especially by the cities, you know, that are being linked through the road, and they will find a way of establishing cooperation. And I hope that the cultural and creative sector will therefore benefit from this. I'm saying this why? Because, you know, the main driver of creative economies are cities today, and it's not the state, and so there are big opportunities like you might mention Chengdu, to actually establish some kind of you know, very powerful relationship with equivalent creative cities in Europe to help develop new business models, new forms of collaboration. Especially now that younger generation is much more connected, is much more internationally minded, is already, you know, as I say, connected, internet connected, and this has great opportunities. My experience is that there is the big change is that where to start. The big change is that there are a lot of resources. And now there are a lot of resources on the Chinese side. And there are a lot of ideas on the European side. And the question is matching the ideas with the resources. And today, the problem is that, you know, we're talking about misunderstanding. And there is misunderstanding between people, and because of cultural reasons, because misunderstanding for businesses. But there is a lot of misunderstanding between administration. You know, administration are very conservative by nature, whether you are Chinese administration or European administration. And the problem is that very often each administration don't understand each other. And so they talk, but then in terms of practical projects, there's a lot of frustration on the Chinese and European side. And I think this is where, I don't know what to suggest there, but maybe China and Europe should set up some kind of task force with professionals, not bureaucrats, but professionals, which would say, okay, we identify, this is our 3 priorities where we could collaborate. You know, what should we, you know, let's do it. And come up with a concrete projects, equally funded on both sides. Okay, let's say, okay, we would like to develop links between creative hubs. So this is a request from both Chinese administration and European. They ask this task force, composed of consultant, experts, creative hub manager. Okay, give us a plan. You know, 6 months later, this is the plan. Okay, shall we do it or not? And then we do it. You know, each parts pick up a good project and say this. We have identified this a very good practice, a very good. We could share it with you as an example of good practice, and let's find an equivalent partner in Europe and let's build a project. China and Europe advertise, call for tender. We would like a project, China-Europe collaboration in relation to heritage management, to tourism attractivity via culture. We're looking forward to receive your application. and then both administration, surrounded by expertise, decide which project they want to support.